Voters of Pocatello and the Iowa State Journal welcome you to our 2025 Pocatello City Council and Mayoral Candidate Forum. This evening we have two moderators. I am Susan Carter from the League of Women Voters, and Travis Wasp is the publisher of the Iowa State Journal. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that seeks to promote active participation of citizens in government. The Iowa State Journal's mission is to provide credible and compelling information and to serve as a forum for community debate. All candidates in contested races have been invited to participate in this evening's forum. Tonight's event is being recorded. The recording of this event is owned by the League of Women Voters of Idaho, may not be used for any purpose without explicit written permission from the League. No part of the League-sponsored video production may be altered, used in advertising, or in any way to promote a candidate. The League will only allow the audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety. All uses must be attributed to the League of Women Voters of Pocatello Candidate Forum on September 29, 2025, and must include a disclaimer that the views expressed do not reflect those of the League of Women Voters. Since this is being recorded, we ask for the audience's cooperation in not interrupting the forum by yelling out or otherwise disturbing the forum. Our goal tonight is to ask as many questions as possible and to hear from the candidates. Candidates will be available in the foyer after the mayoral candidate section is concluded.
So questions for tonight were submitted to the Iowa State Journal. We had dozens of questions submitted by the community from all age brackets and from all parts of Pocatello. The League and staff members of the Iowa State Journal met and consolidated questions into key topics. All questions asked tonight were submitted by the community. The format for tonight will be as follows. We will call on each candidate and we'll have 1 minute for their introduction. We will then rotate through the candidates, giving each person 1 minute to answer the question. Each candidate will have the opportunity to give a closing statement after the question concludes. The order of the candidates that we'll start questions with was randomized. Once we ask the candidate, all candidates will be given the opportunity to answer the same question going from my left to right. So we'll go ahead and start tonight with opening statements. And we started with Dakota. You have 1 minute.
Well, good evening, and I want to just say how grateful I am to the League of Women Voters and the Iowa State Journal for hosting this forum tonight. I have been so encouraged by the attention and interest by the general public in this year's election cycle. This is not usual, especially as a city council candidate. Normally, very few people even want to hear what we have to say, so I'm very grateful that you're here and that you're paying attention. I want to share with you why I'm even here tonight. Last November, the school district was looking at closing my children's school, Washington Elementary. And I and other parents and people in our neighborhood got involved in trying to advocate for keeping Washington open. And as I talked with people in the community, I heard the same thing over and over and over. People don't trust local government to make the right decision. They don't trust local government cares what they have to say, and they don't trust that they're being honest. I'm on city council because I want to change that. I want to change that culture. And I'm trying very hard to do that, and I hope you give me the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for caring. My name is James Lucci. I'm running for City Council. Nobody up here has a Phoenix feather wand or an infinity gauntlet. They're not going to snap their fingers and make drastic changes. Thank you for that. All right? I'm going to tell you right now, the status quo is killing us all at every level of the government. And it's not the people who are like us, not their fault. It's a system. And we need to change it. Everybody's talking about property taxes, but we're not looking at the bigger picture. every level of government in this family. I say it's a hell of a status quo. All right? We need to make drastic change, and that's why I'm here. I'm not normal, I don't wear a suit and tie. I hate suits and ties, all right? But I'm here to make change, and I will stand by with the people to make change. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim Young. I'm running for Pocatello City Council seat 4. The high end, top level about me is I moved here in July of 2018 from the dreaded place called California. And no, I didn't bring my California values. I adopted Idaho values when I got here. The biggest thing about Pocatello was when I moved here was I didn't see what it had to offer. From the outside, it looked like another dreary, dying town that's heyday was in the 50s. But that is not true. In the time I've spent, I've found my community. I've started multiple businesses, including Dude's Public Market on 240 South Main Street. And from that, I've learned that Pocatello doesn't have the only problem Pocatello has is they're not rowing all in the same direction. So my ask is that we all start rowing in the same direction, and whoever you vote for makes that promise. Thank you.
Is that on?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Good. My name is Linda Lurick, and I'm running for seat 5. I'm actually in seat 5 currently. I know many of you that I saw in the audience tonight, but I'll introduce myself for those of you that I don't. Can't hear? Is that? Okay. I gotta hold this way up close. Okay. My name is Linda Lurick, and I'm running for seat 5. I'm currently in seat 5. I do want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum, and also all of you for coming tonight. This is important to learn about the candidates and be an informed voter, so I appreciate that. I came to Pocatello 21 years ago from the East Coast and to be a professor at ISU. So I have an academic background, and I think that served me very well. I'm a good researcher, and I study the issues and learn what's going on. But as an incumbent, I also want to just tell you we're doing really well at the city, and I want to keep that progress going. I got to finish my sentence. Thank you.
I'm Jeremy Marley, and I'm running for City Council seat 5 as well. So when I started running, I had a different perspective. You guys hear me all right out there?
Speak up. You're not here. Just speak up.
Can you turn the board up a little bit? Turn the sound up on the board.
How about now? Any better? How about now? I'm Jeremy Marley, and I'm running for seat 5 also. When I started running, I had a different perspective than what I have now. I spent quite a bit of time digging through reports and historical references for all kinds of information, just to make sure that my views and the views of the general public were the same. And so far, from what you've heard, there's a lack of transparency, there's a need for the people to be heard better. We want to be able to do more, be more. One of the things that I have more recently found is that the city is in the way of our progress. And so the reason that I'm running at this stage is to help get the city out of the way of our growth. I'm Jeremy Marlin, I'm running for seat 5.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you to the League of Women at the stage here for putting us on so that we can see faces, we can see us, and so that you guys can get to know us a little bit. It shows us from your presence that you care and that you want what's best for Pocatello, and that's what I want. I'm born and raised here in Pocatello. I graduated from Iowa State, and I have 8 wonderful children. And I can do this for their future and for the Pocatello's future. I want to serve you. I want to serve this community. I have loved it so much, and I can bring a lot to the city. Thank you.
Hello. Does this work? Okay, so we know which ones doesn't work. My name is Kevin Lewis, and it is spelled K-E-V-E-N, not I-N. So it's the type up here, but not on all the cards. Mom wanted to make life difficult for me, so we appreciate that for her. I was raised here in Pocatello, a fifth-generation resident. My family is the Fraser family from Fraser Farms. So Pocatello is near and dear to my heart. I graduated from Highland in 2007, and I moved out to Middle Tennessee, where I lived for 13 years. In between working in bars and restaurants in downtown Nashville and completing a bachelor's and master's degree, I really got to know the concerns and the issues that young people are facing in their cities. And a lot of that, I think, is young people are looking towards the future and saying, what do we have for us? And so one of my primary focuses is let's be building towards the future, and towards a future that works for all of us and not just the city.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Hartman. I am running for seat 6. For the last 26 years, I have served veterans and advocated for them successfully in our community. I have brought up one of the smallest programs in the state of Idaho to what now is one of the best recognized programs for the state of Idaho for veterans. I am married to a combat veteran. Together we have 7 children, we have 12 grandchildren. I was born and raised here in Pocatello. I do have to admit, I moved away for a short while. For about 8 years, I lived in Chubbuck. I am probably the average person. I never thought I would ever be in politics. If anybody had ever asked me, are you going to be in politics? The answer would simply have been no. But here I am. I hope turn your vote.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to have so many engaged citizens. I really appreciate seeing that. I'm Ann Swanson. I'm running for seat 6. And my campaign is really a thank you note to Pocatello. I grew up here. I had a wonderful education here, and of course, like many 18-year-olds, decided to get out for a little bit, only to come back years later after some good education to see what a gem Pocatello really is. There's not much traffic here. It's a great place to raise kids. I raised mine here. And so that always sticks with me when I think of why I decided to run, because Pocatello really is that gem. My career has been in small business development. I run a small business development center at ISU, and I'd like to keep extending that community service mission to working with all of you folks and the city. I think that I bring a good education background to the role, and I'd like to continue my mission of service.
So we're going to start with the first question, and then you're going to start us off with this question. What is your vision for Pocatello?
My vision for Pocatello is to keep us moving in a good direction. In the time that I've been on the council, we've accomplished a lot of good work. One of the main things is achieving a strong financial position, but also we survived COVID very well, and so we have the money that we received from the federal government for COVID money that allowed us to achieve a lot of really good projects in Pocatello without going to taxpayers to pay for them. So I think keep moving us in a good direction, keep moving forward. I would love to see us, and this has been a goal of mine all along, is to make us a walkable, like a bike-ped-friendly city, especially focus on our downtown area, make that a thriving economy where everybody can thrive and succeed, and have that be a vibrant downtown area by using on. Thank you.
Yes, so Jeremy Marley, C5. My vision for Pocatello started out as kind of a different perspective, like I said. When I started digging, though, what I found as I consulted with different professionals in the area is that we have kind of a cliff ahead of us financially that we're going to have to pay attention to in the next year, and it's really important that the public will be able to see that. It's really important that we focus really heavily on our innovation and our direction towards technology in the near future. A lot of things are changing in the world, and we're going to be beholden to that task as it comes to Pocatello. We usually get a little bit of extra time. My understanding is that we have about 1,000 days to really gear up for this. So my vision for Pocatello is that we continue to do things that are focused in that direction. We partner heavily with the university, with our university districts, with our technology districts, with the things that we have to become a transportation hub, and also to develop well-rounded meeting places for us to get the gap as a community.
My vision for Pocatello starts with the people of Pocatello. My vision is for my children, for you, all ages. Pocatello, we're a recreational place. People come here because of our beauty, people come here to do all those things. Well, we have 4 seasons here, and we need to look deep into that. We also need to look into what things that we have here that we need to take care of. We all want a facility, we all want everything, but we need to take care of what we have first, and that is on that. We need to talk about being transparent with our budget, with the things and the finances that we have in our city. I feel like people don't trust the city, and they want to know answers, and so we're going to do that to them. I want our community to be unified. Thank you.
Kevin Lewis for C5. My vision for Pocatello really hinges on let's address the needs of regular people. So let's address the housing issue. Let's address wage stagnation. Let's seek out high industry anchor jobs so that when your kids and grandkids grow up here, they're not desperate to leave. That they know they can stay here, they know they can have safety and security in their jobs. Kind of like Mr. Marley and Ms. Satterfield said, we want to be aiming towards the future, advancing in technology, in recreation. We really do have a wonderful and beautiful city, and I think that we can endeavor to do more and to be a place that we can all thrive in. And that's really my vision.
So my vision for Pocatello is to be able to grow a sustainable, resilient economy, something that is responsible. I want to see partnerships with ISU, with the airport. I want places that we can go and be as families. I would like us to be able to feel like you could come to me and talk to me. So I'm probably as average as you're going to see any of these candidates. Sorry, I'm pretty average. I'm basic. But I would love for you to be able to come and talk to me. So one of the visions that I have for Pocatello is that if you see me in the grocery store and you have a question, I want you to feel like you can stop and ask me that question. So my vision for Pocatello is to listen to the citizens and bring you what you're asking for instead of just assuming what you need.
Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay. In the process running up to the election, I've knocked over 600 doors and had about 300 conversations with people. And that is really what my vision for Pocatello starts with, is a city that listens and a city that communicates well, in person and digitally. The next one would be attention to the ALICE population. The ALICE population stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained Employed. That's 20% of our population. And if you add that to the 11% that are formally in poverty, that's 30% are forced. So making decisions with that Alice population in mind. And then last but not least, and I've probably more ahead of time, right size growth. We have an infrastructure that really has to keep pace with the kinds of businesses we're being recruit and the housing stock that we have.
I envision a Pocatello that is financially responsible so that we can continue to take care of that Alice population that Anne has talked about, and we can continue to fund the nonprofits that rely on us. I envision a city government that is responsive and transparent and that is proactive rather than reactive to problems. And most of all, I envision a Pocatello that seeks opportunities to collaborate. Collaborate with Chubbuck, collaborate with Granite County, with School District 25, and collaborate with our business leaders in our community. I think it is so important that our city demonstrates more leadership in our community. And it starts with our city council. Our council needs to remember that it has a voice and it has a purpose.
My vision for Pocatello is one, to have affordable housing. Right now, that's not happening. When I first moved here, there was an apartment I lived in, studio. It was about $375 a month. It's now $800. All right, that's ridiculous. All right, we need to stop worrying about big developments and develop what is already derelict or empty lots as they are right now. Because those are the spots where we're going to make more money for our property taxes on them, right? So all these sprawling developments, they're not going to bring in as much as fixing the downtown, empty lots and buildings that aren't occupied. Another thing, I would like to focus on schooling, because the better the schools, the more people, the more families you're going to bring in, the more money we'll have for tax revenue. Thank you.
Jim Young, running for Pocatello Seat 4. My vision of Pocatello is very simple: livable, affordable, prosperous. And what do I mean by that? So it's a combination of things. So create a livable environment, a healthy social scene, which we have, continue to invest in our downtown, redevelop some of the buildings that need some housing. Thanks to current city planning group, they have improved the infill development requirements, so making highest and best use of building within our city property in a way that's most cost effective. And prosperous. For me, it's not about just being financially prosperous, but it's about being spiritually prosperous. I think Pocatello needs to get away from the moral Pocatello and resonate more with Pocatello pride. So my vision is a livable, affordable, prosperous Pocatello. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our second question has to do with budget and taxes, and we'll start with Stacey Satterfield this time. As residents struggle with increasing taxes, utility costs, and municipal fees, how do you work to manage city expenses, ease the financial burden on taxpayers, and improve operational efficiency without compromising vital city services?
That's a great question. First, economic growth. We have to have economic growth. If we don't have economic growth, we can't help our property taxes or relieve our property taxes. We need businesses to come in, good jobs to help sustain our economy. It's huge. We're getting left behind. But if we don't do that, we don't grow. We need a healthy growth. I feel like here in Pocatello, for some reason, we've always had feelings of we don't want to grow, we don't want to be voicing, we don't want skyscrapers, and we don't. We don't want to be them. We want to be us. And we're amazing, and we have a lot of power, and we need to bring those companies in here that can help us with that.
On the question of managing city expenses, over the last week or so, I've started meeting with different heads of departments across the city. To my shock, people have told me on multiple occasions, it's the first time the candidates have come forward to ask questions prior to the election. And there's only been a few of us doing so. What I have found talking to these city employees and heads of these departments is that they are very well budgeted and they stay within their margins and they work really hard to keep costs down. So I think that when we look at taxes and we look at relief, we need to start asking ourselves, how do we bring in growth that can take that burden off of residents? And just like Stacy said, we need to start bringing high industry jobs here that can share that tax burden with us, so that we're not all paying for all of it. And that starts with us paying attention to bringing growth in and building opportunity for us here.
So, as far as budgets go, what I believe is going to be important is that we prioritize our safety first. So, in our community, safety needs to be key, and that means that we're going to need to expand and look at how things process through different departments from a safety standpoint. The other thing that I feel like we need to do is need to prioritize all of those essential services that we have in our community. So the water department, the sanitation department, those are all going to be very important things that we look at. That's our everyday stuff that we just take for granted. But if that process goes in the wrong direction, we're going to have a huge problem, right? So after we look at those kind of things, then I think it's going to be important for us to look towards our economic development and our community programs that bring families together. What's going to be key is transparency.
So I, like you, would like to pay less taxes, and I think that's a common theme. The city budget, I've also talked to some of the city employees about this as well, is really tight, and it's only going to get tighter. So I would have to really take the point of view that we got to prioritize. In order to do that well, we have to ask the right people about those priorities. That means getting input from the community, from city employees, from small businesses. And doing that kind of research is really going to guide the decisions the city council should make. A couple other thoughts about that. I think the city, and I'm certainly very willing and ready to do this, needs to push back against state legislature control over city finances and what really the city can do in terms of creating funds to take care of the things that are so important, like safety, for sure. It's a priority. Those emergency services have got to be on the list. Thanks.
Well, there's a lot to cover in that one question, but I will say, when it comes to our city budget, it needs to balance. It should not balance on the back of our savings, which is what we did this year. Our budget process, in my opinion, is broken. City council only gets a limited amount of information, so it's very hard for us as council members to say what we should prioritize. But the financial landscape for municipalities is changing. We're going to get less money from the federal government, we're going to get less money from the state. And so we really have to start making hard decisions about what our priorities are. Now, as far as property taxes, I believe that the only real sustainable solution to property tax relief is growth. We can cut the budget, but that's not going to be palatable to anybody, and it won't last. What we have to do is we have to leverage our business community, not outsource our economic development to one person or one corporation, but have a team approach to how we grow our area.
Alright, the budget is like the boogeyman in all levels of government. Everybody thinks it's going to be broad-based. I'm not saying it's not here in Pocatello, but it's not as bad as you guys are thinking. Like, I know someone who brought up that they went to the department heads and the workers, and they're like, yeah, we're budgeting properly. It's just, it costs a lot of money to run a city. Let's be real. And the problem isn't the budget, it's our economic development. And like I said, I will stress this all night long. We need to build in the places that are derelict and empty. We need to start filling those up right now. We need more shops downtown, right? And we're not getting it. The problem is the economy is shit right now. Let's be real. It's only going to get worse. So to fix this, I think we need to start focusing on development in schools. We need to bring families into the cities. And schools is the best way to do that.
Jim Young, running for Pocatello City Council seat 4. So I think, it is a loaded question on how do you stay fiscally responsible while growing the economy. The reality kind of comes down to this. We have stagnated for the past couple of decades, but we've been getting a lot better in these past couple of decades as well. So the real question is why are we rowing the boat in the same direction? So we can talk about the simplicity of keeping a balanced budget and not digging in fundies, building reserves. I think that's a fantastic idea and a great point. But at the end of the day, we can only grow as much as people are willing to move in. So we really need to take a hard look and see, well, what about the social part of the development, of economic development? How do we get people who are already here to stay here, which includes our ISU students? So thank you.
Can you hear me this time? Yes, I can hear myself. Linda Lurie, running for Seat 5. This is a running joke between Jim and I. We introduce ourselves all the time. So this, I will agree with Jim also, is a loaded question. I mean, it's a huge question. But as the person who's been in office the longest up here, I see things from a little bit of a different perspective. I think the council does have a lot of input and does get a lot of information in order to put our budget together. A lot of that responsibility is on us to go and meet with staff, talk to them. The staff are our experts, and building relationships with them is really important because they're the ones who are experts in getting grant money that allows us to do things without using taxpayer money. They find efficiencies. Investing in them saves us money, so they don't leave, which costs us money. So there's lots of ways we can find ways to keep our budget under control. That's the end of my sentence.
Jeremy Marley, member Seat 5. I would actually agree with everything that Code Reed said. There is absolutely issues in our budgeting process. There are issues in our transparency process. There is no doubt about it. We're feeling that need, and it's because of those things that are directly in front of us. One of the things that I would like to see brought forward is a technical advisory committee for our 25 departments that we have. At the university, we do the same thing, the same method for continuing education or for career technical educators. It's crazy to assume that someone who's been in the field for 25 years will say is still an expert in their field. It is important that we bring in industry experts to consult with, to advise us on, and to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible. Those can provide accountability to the departments, and those also can provide that same accountability in the university to those who are on the city council and give us transparency. Jeremy Marley, Seat 5.
You have a request if people announce your name before you answer, I can see the back of the card, see the name, back and whoever people are. So many of you mentioned economic development, and that is our next question. So considering Pocatello's options with economic incentives such as tip financing, what strategies did you implement to bring high-wage employers and industries to our community and offer sustainable employment and encourage our college graduates to stay local? And Melissa, we're going to start with you.
Okay, Melissa Hartman, running for Seat 6. So for me, what I would think is that we need to have balance in our community We need to have activities that keep kids here, but we also need to have that balance of having some kind of a job afterwards. So I love the idea of having some, I want to say mentor groups. I'm not sure if that's the right word that we would use. I've heard the term incubators, things like that come out. So I think that we need to have some long-term transferability locally, right? So there has to be some balance, because we can't just go, look at how fun Pocatello is versus, oh, we have some really nice places to live. And I think that by tying in and linking ISU and partnering with ISU, partnering with INL, partnering with those companies in town, we will keep those students here.
And I'm running for C6 as well. Growth is a word that comes up a lot when I talk to folks in the neighborhoods. And one of the issues with that word is that we don't have a common definition of it. So that would be a priority for me, is to figure out what our common definition is of growth. What are the economic indicators that would assure us all that we have grown in the future? How many more homes would it look like if we were growing? So that's I think a key foundation of this whole discussion, is what is growth and what are the metrics we're going to tie it to. I think there's also an idea I'd like to share with you regarding right-sized growth. And right-sized growth means companies that are in the 20 to 40 employee range. Because we have low housing stock, and because our infrastructure has to keep up, that's one of the specific types of businesses I would target.
Dakota Banks is forward. When it comes to growth and economic development, I don't believe there is a silver bullet solution. There's many layers to it. There's lots of things lots of opportunities for us to do better. One is beautification, and I applaud Mayor Glenn. I think he's put a lot of effort into trying to make sure that they're beautifying city property. Where I disagree with how we approach economic development is we are currently using, it's now Port Valley development, and we're just really relying on one person or one corporation to try and recruit employers. And I think we're missing out on so much talent in our community, so many people with experience that we can leverage to bring employers here who are already succeeding and can tell businesses why they want to be here. Final thought, with historic downtown, I think there's so much opportunity to redevelop it as well as South Fifth, but it's going to require us to be more flexible with our building codes so that it's easier to do business and to redevelop.
James Lucci, support. So, for development and growth, we need cheap housing, and we don't have it. It's not going to be coming. We do realize the economy is really bad right now, right? Like where I work, the coffee maker like $6. You got a London president on about 50. It's ridiculous. We need to get creative with how we build it. And yes, that building goes that we're going to have to work on those and zoning and all that. But we're going to have to be really creative, because honestly, it's costing so much to build a house, and the wages in Idaho are not keeping up with it at all. It's supposed to be what, $20-something an hour for to be able to afford a place and live, and all the necessities. But that's not happening. Nobody's getting that. So we need to bring the minimum wage, not to do that at the state level. And like I said, we really need to work on our education system. I'm not saying it's bad, but we need a lot better so we get more families.
Jim Young, running for Pocatello City Council seat 4. So the one thing that I'd like to kind of say that differentiates myself with everyone here on economic development is I've done the work. I've spent the past 4 years spending over $1 million in historic downtown, creating a multi-tenant space for 4 food businesses to thrive and grow. And so I've done the work here and seen how hard it is to do any sort of development here in the city. And the city is making strides to do better. better development, but there's opportunities everywhere. And the biggest thing is we gotta pick. We only have so many dollars for economic development. We gotta pick the next Hoku, the next Frigitech, the next Northgate. We need to focus on infill. And I think the highest and best use of our funds that we have limited is historic downtown. And that would be kind of where we start. Make a place where someone wants to be, and then their employees will want to stay. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Linda Lord, running for C5. And again, I think I have a little bit of a different perspective as an insider here. I'm in the job, so I fully understand what the job is and what council can and can't do according to state statute. So I'm hearing a lot of talk and promises about certain topics like housing and schools and things that are not directly in your purview. Economic development kind of comes in that category. There are things we can do to support it and encourage it, but we don't actually do it. We don't go out and bring companies in, and we don't set wages, and we don't do those things. Other people do those things, but we can create policies, we can create ordinances and work with partners in the community in order to encourage those things. Also support our staff. We have great planning staff who are very creative in terms of new zoning ideas and things that we can do to support economic development. So that's what we can do as a council.
Jeremy Marley for Seat 5. So in my discovery in the last month and a half, I thought we were going to be building a massive structure for our economic growth. And instead what I've uncovered is that we have a dam that is built and holding progress back in our community. There are several names that come up in almost every conversation. And those names, when they come up, they're keeping us from doing this. Every time we bring a new thing into Pocatello, they say no, or they stonewall, or it takes us more time. So here's the result of that. Number one, we need to bring in new businesses and provide incubator programs. We need to instill innovation mindset in our community. We need to provide financial education clubs in our K-12 system. That's not a thing that the K-12 controls. We can control clubs. We can't control the school, but we can control the clubs. We need to open the floodgates for ISU. ISU has great innovation. We need to open up the reservation. We need to talk about technology on a real basis. We need to do large-scale attraction. We need to provide good opportunity, provide quality destinations, and we are the destination. This is where we need to open those gates up.
I'm Stacey Satterwell, C5. Economic development takes time. I have met with a few economic developers around here that's been working in this area, and they are professionals. We, as a city council, have knowledge and have our economic expertise. But for something like this, and as important as this is, we need professionals to know what they're doing, because it is a huge thing. It's like there's so many pieces to the pie, and it's not just about housing. We have to develop our businesses, our restaurants, and recreation, so that people will want to draw here, so we're a destination, not a gateway. Again, we don't know all the answers, but we want to work hard to find those answers, to make a difference, to make us better. Thank you.
I think part of the answer to all of this is we need to learn to walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to focus on what are we doing for our youth in the long term, so providing new jobs, providing apprenticeships, getting kids involved in being proud of their city at a young age, and shifting those opportunities into long-term job careers. So to do that, we have to be bringing in high-industry jobs. Part of the question is about TIF, financing, and what kind of the city's going to be doing for that. I think when we start looking at large industries, these folks have the money to pay taxes and to build out here, but small industry, locally owned businesses don't usually have an opportunity. So if we're going to give tax breaks and things to businesses, they should be small, medium, locally owned places, whereas large businesses, they should be paying their fair share, they should be bringing high wages.
center. Citizens often express frustration that their voices are heard only after key decisions have already been made. What steps would you take to reform city processes and create more opportunities for meaningful community participation throughout the decision-making cycle?
Thank you for that question, Dakota Bates from C4. There are many opportunities, I think, where we as a city can improve in involving the public. Number one, we need to be on the ground with people that are on the ground, that are working in neighborhoods and in the business community. I went to a meeting in historic downtown a couple of weeks ago where the city had invited several business owners and building owners, and it very quickly became an event session where these business owners who have been in historic downtown for decades shared many ways in which the city has made life very difficult for them. And at the end of the meeting, I said, when's the last time the city invited you to a meeting like this and asked for your feedback? 0 times. They've never done it except this time. And it only happened because we received a grant and we're doing a market study. That's what has to change. It's a culture change. The city needs to be proactive, working in our neighborhoods and in our community.
All right, to get the public involved, you have to go out and talk to the public. I don't know if I'm wrong on your yet, but if elected, that is something that we'll continue doing, especially when there are issues that arise, and I really need to know. If I do get elected, I will be doing this job full time. There will be nothing else but me doing this. To get the public involved, I will drag it down to City Hall when I have to. Right? Because if you ever look online, you'll see, oh, input for this, input for that. It's out there, but not enough people are getting it. Like I said, we're too busy. Everything's going on with the economy. Everybody's more worried about that than what's going on at City Hall. We can't really pay attention. But I will make sure I'm going to continue trying to drag people to City Hall.
Jim Young, running for Pocatello City Council seat 4. I think the biggest thing for public participation and comment is really about the expectations we have for our city council members. The one thing I plan and commit to is open door, shoot me a text, just not after midnight. I'm a workaholic, but don't text me after midnight. One of the big things I think that's important when including is to have public comment prior to and at the start of every session rather than at the end. Give people the opportunity to have their voices heard and provide some feedback to the council at large. But at the end of the day, I think it's all about kind of who you want there, who's going to listen to you, whether you have $1 to give or not. And I promise to be that person. Listen, everyone's input is valid in my book, and I have something to learn from everyone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Rick. I'm a person. It's interesting. The first time I ran for office, I knocked on a little over 6,000 doors. So talked to a lot of people and got a lot of input. And that's something that's to do with your campaigning. That has changed since I've been in office. And not changed in the sense that I don't feel the need to talk to people anymore. I just talk to them in a different way. Everywhere I go, I talk to people. If I go into a business, if I go into the grocery store, anywhere I go, even walking, when I'm walking in the street, I walk past someone's house and they stop me and talk to me. They text me, they call me, they email me, and I love that. I want to hear from as many people as possible. I want that involvement. I want their input. And you can text me after midnight. Anyone who knows that's probably the best time to reach you. I'm a night person. But I think we do encourage input, and it's a good thing to have. So thank you.
I'm Jeremy Marley for Seat 5. I don't want your text. You send me your text and it will be overwhelming. And it would be asinine for me to assume that I can accept everyone's text publicly. The reality of governance and public input into what we have as a system, we have a lot of technology that we can be using. AI opens up a significant revenue or opportunity for us, avenue opportunity for us to be able to streamline public input and give us detailed output for what we need. With that, coupled with technical advisory committees, 12 people can go out and ask 10 questions faster than one person can go out and ask 1,000 questions. And so having those committees and be actively engaged in the community and coming back and reporting and overseeing the department head based on what they need will bring in a few things for us. One, it will reduce the limitations of time and resources. We can open up public forums to have thorough discussions. We can have panel discussions that bring in opportunity for us, and we can get public buy-in with a system like that. Jeremy Marley for C5.
When it comes to references from the citizens, I did a few surveys myself with people just wanting to know different demographics and different things, especially in the city. We have more platforms now than ever that gives us information and communicate with the public. One thing that I really appreciate that motivates is that he has done that in his short term of 4 months. I have learned a lot from him, and he has publicly let us know some things that have happened or things that he voted on and things like that, and we need to do more of that. We need to communicate more. What I found is that in the city, they get a lot of negative, right? But us as citizens, we also need to give the positive. When we have something we want to say, let's act. Let's do our part, get it out there, communicate with us. We also have a website that has a lot of information on it. Go, find your answers. They're out there. Communicate.
Kevin, this is 5. So the past couple months I've been out knocking doors, as we do, and it's quickly become one of my favorite parts of campaigning because I get to meet people face to face and talk about their real issues. And what I keep finding myself saying time and time again is that the government begins at our relationship, me to you. And I think that that's what we really need to focus on is our relationship with one another. I think what we've, as a community, as a country, a lot of us have kind of forgotten how to talk to each other. I talk to people of all different backgrounds, and I have a blast doing it. And so I think that that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with a relationship. What does that look like for me as a city council candidate? I want to hold monthly town halls so you can come and you can talk to me about the issues that you're facing in your community. And partially, I really would like to continue going around neighborhoods and knocking on your door and saying, hey, what are you facing? What are the issues? What are resolutions that you think are possible? And then let's have that conversation together.
Hey, this is Kevin. I'm Melissa, seat 6, Melissa Hartman, seat 6. Kevin, I really love that idea of the town halls. That is really big. I would agree. In my time working with veterans, what I have learned is that when I listen to them, and I mean when I really listen to them, we're able to come to a solution that's good for all of us. So what I would bring back to Pocatello, to the citizens, all of the citizens, is the ability to engage with you and to listen to you. I am just like you. I want to be able to bring our values back into our community. I want to engage with you. I love the idea of town halls. We've recently done those. I have sat in city council meetings. Bring us a cushion for your dog, right? They're not the greatest, but I think a town hall where you can ask and you can engage is key.
This is one of the areas, and sponsor seat 6. This is one of the areas that I'm really excited about. First of all, any 2 council members can have a forum that is open to the public at any time. Councilman Bates and Councilman Paulson did this earlier this summer. I went, it's fantastic. I'd love to continue that. Digital ideas. There are a lot of questions that float around on Facebook, such as why is the grass brown in the cemetery? I think it'd be great to have an FAQ page where we have answers to those kind of questions where people can go and look. And then I would really encourage the next mayor, whoever that is, to move that public comment period to the front, to the start of the city council meeting, so people can feel like they have a say in what's going to happen during the decision making that happens during the meeting. And I would even advocate for the ability of the city council to make a short comment back to that person and provide a follow-up later.
Given the challenges of rising home prices and limited housing inventory, what specific measures and policies would you champion to improve housing affordability and availability in Pocatello?
Was it Jim or James?
James?
Jim, yeah, sorry. So that's kind of one of those questions when you ask, okay, well, where is the city's role in this? And one of the big things is about the city's building department being a lot more collaborative and being empowered to make decisions that allow homeowners, developers to redevelop properties that, that it's not cost effective to get all the way up to code, but it can be done in a safe manner. At the end of the day, I think housing is one of those, double-edged sword. We need more income to be able to afford the housing. Housing prices will continue to rise. So the question is how do we build housing that is affordable for the future of the residents that are here and with the income they'll be able to afford. So it's kind of a two-pronged. We've got to bring up the income to bring housing. At the end of the day, the city is pretty limited on what they can do, but they can get out of the way, and that's my biggest promise, is get them out of the way.
Linda Lurie, running for District 5. I do agree with Jim's point about the city being somewhat limited on what we can do with housing. I do encourage everybody to, and making it affordable, of course, I encourage you all to talk to your state legislators because they do make a lot of legislation that affects the housing affordability, things like controlling rents and waiting lists and all sorts of things that affect people's access to affordable housing. So it's very much a legislative issue, but there are things on the local level. We can work with partners like the Housing Alliance and Community Partnerships, what used to be called our Housing Authority. There's other organizations in the community that work on affordable housing and work with people to find them affordable housing. So we can support that. We can support things through policy, like zoning and things like that, to support infill and affordable housing.
Jeremy Marley, C5. So housing is one of those issues that it's more important, I think, for people to understand the context of what's going on. We had maybe a growth of 3,000 people, maybe 4,000 people in the last 4 years. We had housing in a surplus of 500 households when we started building houses like crazy. So when it really comes down to it, we're not seeing a housing deficit. We're seeing a different trend that's happening. And it's important to engage that different trend in the way that it is. A lot of it has to do with real estate investment. A lot of it has to do with renting for higher values. And honestly, commerce suggests that what's the reason that we raise our prices? Well, the number one answer is because we can. And in Pocatello, that's exactly the reason. So rent control is an absolute disaster everywhere that it's practiced. It's not a thing that we should entertain. It's the wrong move. But the one thing that we can do is build up household equity so that that burden of housing becomes less for every household.
Stacey Sadler, C5. So, growing up here, my dad was a builder from the 70s on, and hearing his frustration over the years of the process from permit to breaking ground has been extremely difficult, so frustrating that he wanted to retire because he was so frustrated with our city. I don't know the all ins and outs, but I've been to multiple departments growth in that department. We need to not just have more apartments, but we need to have first-time home buyers. And Pocatello always affordable housing before COVID. My first house was like $61,000, and that was 2001. So we have a new problem here in Pocatello in the last 4 or 5 years, and it's a big deal. And we need to get other companies, we need to get banks, we need to get other people to help us with this issue because we need it to change.
Kevin Lewis, C5. As far as housing, I think we need to get really creative. I'm a big believer in if it's not working, we're trying the same thing over and over again. Let's get creative and do something differently. So we can talk about zoning, or let's talk about mixed-use zoning. When I lived in Middle Tennessee, it was right when the boom happened, and people just started moving there in droves. And what Tennessee did is they started building what are called tall and skinnies. They're not the prettiest houses, but they are sufficient to meet the needs of the new people moving into the area. So I think that one of our goals should be, let's address the new homeowners, the people who are moving in here directly, they're trying to start families, they get stable, so that way over the long term, when they are able to buy a house or wanting to buy a bigger house, they're able to do so because they've already built equity in the house that they've already purchased. So let's start small, focus on those people that we need to prioritize and then go from there.
Melissa Hartman, seat 6. So I'm not an expert in housing. That's not what I do. But here's what I am an expert in. I'm an expert in my adult children. I have one adult child who is doing very well. Him and his wife, they're fantastic. They bought a house, they're doing great. She's an RN, he works at the bank, it's perfect. But what you don't see is that she has a second job as a nurse, and he has a second job in a cleaning company. They only have one child, and they have to have 2 jobs to make ends meet in Pocatello. They cannot live beyond their means. I have another adult child who moved back home with me. She brought with her husband and my grandchildren. And I'm so blessed that I have the opportunity to be able to do that. But to take them, they both have great jobs. He works as a signing person. She works at the courthouse. They couldn't get along.
I was knocking on doors, Ann Swanson, C6. Knocking on doors near where I live on Pocatello. I came to a duplex, and an older fellow answered, and we got talking about housing. That was the first thing on his mind. He has a disability. His disability, his wife is on Social Security. His entire disability check pays their rent. Her Social Security check covers everything else. The housing crisis really is the everything crisis. And it's true that the city council can't be a magic wand and put up homes that are affordable for people. But what they can do is consider zoning changes. They can create variances for construction folks. We can focus on working with our partners such as NeighborWorks, which by the way has done a great job in our community, to be part of things like the affordable senior housing that's gone on across from the cemetery. So I think there are things that the council can do. Thank you.
Dakota Bates, C4. I think it's important to recognize that this problem is not unique to Pocatello. It's a national problem. But there are things we can do to address it. And again, there's no silver bullet. But one thing that I would propose that we could do as a city is I would like to see us have a development officer for the city, not to go recruit business, but to help business owners and developers in the city. If you want to build a development, or you want to redevelop a building in a historic downtown, you have one person to go to that can shepherd you through the entire process, from permitting to planning and zoning, breaking ground, engineering, all of it could all be done with one person. That would make us easier to work with. And I also think it's one more great time to say why we need to be financially responsible, so that we can continue to fund things like Aid for Friends, which is not simply a homeless shelter, but does case management and helps people get into housing that's affordable. Affordable housing doesn't simply mean housing is affordable, but people can afford it as well.
All right, affordable housing is maybe a issue I spoke about already. We really do need to get rid of, I'm talking townhouses and have you seen the water that comes out whatever shipping containers? I don't care where you're living, as long as it's safe and we're okay with it, we can muddle through the zoning and all that. Another big issue, I said earlier, is wages. What's the wage here? 7.5. And cities cannot raise their own minimum wage. It was a couple of years ago, the city now will try to do it, but the state is watching because they don't want that. We need to speak as a city to the state to say, yes, we need a minimum wage raise because we are not making enough money. Shit, people ain't got enough money for food. This is getting ridiculous. We really do need a high minimum wage.
Thank you. We have time for one more question before closing statements. We're going to start here at Marvin this time, and it's about the library. What role does the public library play in the community, and how will you support the library?
So libraries are big. We park it there probably 3 or 4 times a week. A public library is, in a community like ours, it has the potential to be the town hall or the town square. We have all kinds of opportunities in our family specials that we've had recently, where we've been hosting because we believe in doing, not just planning to do it. We've been hosting these meetings, and one of the things that come up consistently is that we need a town square, a place to go where people can learn what's going on. We need a town square where people can go and ask them questions directly. And libraries do serve that function. They provide a primary role of education for those who are maybe don't have the ability to purchase a computer. They provide a sense of community to those families that need someplace to be. And for our household, they provide almost a sanctuary. It's a really important thing, and it's the kind of thing that I think that we, as a society, should continue to support.
Stacey Sacramento, C5. When it comes to the library, I have my own library in my house. I'm a huge advocate for our library. It brings a lot of children into it. Education is huge, and libraries do that exactly. We need it to be, and keep it to be, a safe place where parents, whether they're there or not, feel like their kids are safe, learning important things. I feel like, as a city, we need to help continue with that. We need to, when I go to the library with my children, again, I have 8 kids, they have so many wonderful things that they do there, and I love that. Summer comes along, we go to the reading, when our kids were 2, we do the same thing. Those wonderful educational processes and activities we need to keep with, and we need to be only encouraged.
So I technically grew up in Chapek, but when I was homeschooled from my 4th grade till my junior year of high school, and I love the library. I would ride my bike over to the Portland Library all the time. We'd go to the Marshall Library pretty regularly, and I think that's really where my love for learning really developed. I'm passionate about knowledge and learning, but the library serves as a place that is more than just books, right? It's more knowledge and learning. It's a place where our senior citizens can go and access the internet with the assistance if they need it. It's a place where young people can go and ask harder questions. It's a place where I lived when I was not sure about how something worked in the world. And this was before the internet was like a thing. And so I learned how to use books, and the value and the knowledge that it provides just is beautiful and wonderful, and I think the library deserves all of our support.
So
So who doesn't love the library? I, with my job, have the opportunity to travel to the library. The library is so much more than just a place for books. It's where people from our community can go and actually get information. So it is the key to processing and communication. I can see town halls at the library. I go there, I go to the Downey Library, and I go to the Cannon Library every month, and I sit there for 2 hours, and I meet with veterans in their communities. I will tell you, the library is fantastic. It's a beautiful place. Our library in Pocatello, are you kidding me? That thing is fantastic. I have seen tons of things there. I have actually seen my grandson's photographs, when he was first born, be done in the library, and they let that happen, right? A young photographer came in, she did some props, and they let her do something fantastic.
Swanson for C6. I volunteered at the library way back when the librarians could still smoke in the library office. Benny Holbrook. And I was really enchanted by that opportunity. I worked downstairs and got to look at a lot of art books, and Nancy Drew was there for me too. I don't think it's going to read that anymore, but it's raised on the Nancy Drew. What I wanted to know about the libraries, everybody said what a great library system we have. Couldn't agree more. We have very smart staff, well-educated, wise. But the library is also a referral service. And I think sometimes we don't see that when we just go in and get the book, right? Librarians do a lot for folks who struggle. And they are an excellent reference for community resources. So I think that's one more key service that the library provides here in our community.
Dakota Bates, C4. I'm proud to say I am a big supporter of the Marshall Public Library, both as a council member and as a patron. My kids love going there. And I am so grateful for our leadership at the library. They are forward-thinking and progressive, and try to really make it what everyone has said, a civic center, and not simply what we always picture as a library. It is a great resource for so many people. And so, I think you would have a hard time finding a city asset that is more used by the general public than the Marshall Public Library. And it's a critical piece of our historic downtown. So I will continue to support it as a member of the council. I'm so grateful to be a member of the library board. They do wonderful work.
Yeah, when I came to Pocatello, I had a closet, a suitcase, and my cat. I lived at Redwood on Providence Springs Library. I was there day and night every day. They're helpful, their resources are amazing, all right? And they have all sorts of programs for kids. I love the library, right? But before Pocatello, I was homeless in Santa Barbara, and I love that library too because they were there to help me. And this is what libraries do. Like, you sit down there, it's more than just books and learning and stuff like that. It is. They're there to help. They really do. I would like to get, like meetings with friends in the library who are close together because there are a lot of homeless people who go there. I was at the library the other day, and there were homeless people growing outside. It was insane. But, that's what the library is for. They go to share their phones and whatnot, get the internet.
Jim Young, running for seat 4 for the City Council. Kind of the way I like to bring, I think the thing with the libraries is they're an essential service. How we utilize them is really as a knowledge resource. More and more, my early formative years of the internet and learning how to utilize computers was at my public library growing up. So I think it's very important for us as AI becomes more of a larger topic discussion, technology, how do we invest and continue to allow the library to be that source of knowledge and have educators that are specialized in robotics, computers, AI learning, things like that. So, you know, you can throw as many books as you want at me, because I'll always say more books and more libraries are an essential part of the service. So thank you.
I agree with everything that you just said. You heard earlier at the beginning that I'm an academic and a scholar, and I couldn't believe more in libraries and books and reading and learning and everything that goes with libraries. I put myself through graduate school by working in the library at my school. Our library is a special one. I did serve on our library advisory board, that Linda mentioned, for 4 years, and got to learn exactly why we are special and all the great things that our staff do. They are so creative in coming up with programming, but they also help people. Libraries aren't book depositories only, they are community centers. So as people have mentioned, people come to the library to use the internet and charge their phones or do things like that, but they also come to apply for jobs and things, and the staff help them with that. So, and libraries are key to economic development too. So that's.
We're coming to the point that's time for closing statements, and so Anne, we're going to start with you, but for you all, I'll go from Anne and work our way back down this way. So you each have 1 minute to share with voters why they should elect you.
So we've all, most of us have probably been in this situation to remember their name before they start talking, and it's Ann Swanson, or C6. We're interviewing people, right? And the person that you interview, you try to find out what are their skills, what is their background, and really do a good job in this position. And none of us up here are housing experts, none of us up here are emergency service experts. What I think the job of the citizen is, really when it comes to choosing a city council person, is deciding, who's got the work ethic to take this on? Who's going to show up and do the boring reading? Who is going to leverage the networks in the community to make the best decisions? And my networks are pretty good. I've worked with small businesses for 10 years in this community, over 200. Know a lot of the not-for-profits in the area, and I've been door knocking. I know my neighbors and I know a lot of the citizens. And so that's why I've asked for your vote. Thank you.
I'm Melissa Hartman, I'm C6. When I first started this job in 2006, there were actually more veterans in Gannett County than what there are now. However, the amount of money that veterans were able to receive in their compensation payments were just a little bit over $9 million. Since I started in 2006 in the county, that number has soared to $40 million. I currently have 2,495 active clients. When you say show up, I'm suited, I'm there every day. And it is the best thing that I've ever got to do.
Kevin Lewis, C5. So I mentioned earlier that I moved to Tennessee. Well, I moved back here in 2020 in the height of COVID, June of that year. When I came back, I worked with my mom in early childhood education. I saw firsthand what child care providers were going through, what business owners were going through to provide child care. A couple years later, I found what I did not expect to be my dream job. I work as a funeral director full-time. And I am incredibly privileged to sit with families in what is one of the hardest moments of their lives. And that has really steered my focus for this city council run, is I really want to serve people in a way that gets them through the hard times and the good times as well. One of my favorite quotes, I'll leave you with this, it's a Bible verse, it's Micah 6:8. what does God require of you? To do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. And then the rabbis, as they like to do, they left a comment and said, do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's truth. Do justly now, love mercy now, and walk with humility now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to finish it. And that's my vision.
I want to thank you all for coming and providing us this opportunity. This is my second time I've ever done this in my whole life. I'm a regular citizen of Pocatello, Idaho, with 8 children. I have never done this, and I am so excited to serve my community this way. I've done it in a lot of other ways, but not this way. I care so much about Pocatello. I want us to be more responsible in the stewardship of what we have. It is very, very important. And then we can add upon that. We need transparency so that us as a community will have more trust in our system. I want my children to want to come back and be by me in this community. By doing that, we need to have more affordability of housing. We need to have jobs that are sustainable so that we don't have our kids having to have 2 or more jobs. I want the best for Pocatello, and I want you to vote for me November 4th. Thank you.
I'm Jeremy Martin, Precinct 5. My son, Mason, is 17, and when I asked him if he was okay with running, he told me we need to make change so that I can stick around here, otherwise I will have to leave. For the last 2 years, I've taught ISU, and I've listened to instructors tell their students that they will need to leave our community in order to find a good job. And I've listened to students who wanted to stay, ask those questions in desperation of whether or not it's true. When I started running, I came across the catchphrase of "we are the destination," and I believe that it's a mindset that we as Pocatelloans need to accept. It doesn't have to be our slogan, we don't have to rebrand, but we need to understand who we are and what we stand for. We are the destination. Jeremy Martin, Precinct 5.
Hi, I'm Linda Lurick for Seat 5, and I just want to remind you that I'm in Seat 5, and I want to say that it has been an honor to serve the people of Pocatello. I have given it my all ever since I've been in office. I treat my role, my job as council member, I treat it as a full-time job. It's technically not. And I think it's important to do as much as I can do to be involved in the community. I'm on many different boards, I go to every event, all those kinds of things in order to support the community and be out there with the people and talking to them and finding out what's important to them and what the challenges really are. So treating it as a full-time job, being there all the time, that's one of the most important things we can do. Also recognizing the importance of our staff. We can't be experts in everything, but they are experts. So we need to work with them and community partners in order to create a thriving economy for our community where everyone can succeed. So I'm Linda Lurick, Seat 5. I love your vote.
Jim Young, running for Seat 4, Pocatello City Council. Kind of my closing remarks are the following. A vote for me is a vote towards a more livable, more affordable, and a more prosperous Pocatello. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you this. I was called to serve, and this is my position to serve in. I have spent the past 4 years as a small business owner in the depths, near bankruptcy, finding a way to thrive. And the reason I'm successful is because of Pocatello. I continue to build my business in Pocatello because I love here, I'm willing to stay here, and this is the only place I see myself spending the rest of my life. A vote for me is a vote for someone who really cares and who wants to spend every waking moment making the city better, because it's also good for our economic bottom line. Thank you.
understand that I ain't gonna be able to wave a wand and get a bunch of teachers here, all right? We're not gonna be able to magically, up the budget or anything like that. But I think we've forgotten this is America. When FDR was gonna pass the New Deal, he told the people, maybe pass it. That means you gotta get up off your ass and go write letters, go to Boise, go to DC, start knocking on their doors. And that's what I'm asking you to do with me. That's what my whole point means. It means you're willing to stand up and actually take charge of this country and stop letting parties be damned, all right? They're both worthless, the rules, the crime, let it all go to hell. You know, I'm serious. We need to stand up. I'm a descendant of a Dominican, all right? And I guess that fighting spirit is still in me. And I believe it's in all of us. We truly need to stand up and take it to all levels of government. Thank you.
If I please, C4. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter gave a speech where he talked about our country experiencing a crisis of confidence. And I feel that there's a lot of parallels to today, to 1979. We have a lot of inflation, housing's unaffordable for many, and people have and are continuing to lose trust in local government and in the institutions that were meant to protect and to serve them. I want to be on city council because I want to change that attitude. I want to increase people's confidence in city government by being responsive, by being transparent, and by showing leadership. I hope and pray that if I'm elected, I'll be able to do that on city council. Thank you for coming.
Your time to be here and share your thoughts about the vision for Pocatello. Let's give them all a big round of applause.